Hello guys, in this today's lecture we are going to understand about managerial economics, and this is a very important topic, and we are going to understand how economics has been very important to the managers to understand, so that they can plan their activities in their day-to-day life in industries related to management using economic principles and making their work easier and more efficient. So, this is Industrial Engineering Video 7, and we are going to understand managerial economics as the concept in this video. So, stay tuned till end of this video to understand the concept in detail. So, talking about economists, okay, so economists have always been concerned with the functioning of the economy as a whole. Okay, how the economy is going to function, all related to finance and money. Not only that, they have been also working towards analyzing the social issues, like it might be a monopoly for your company, competition, tax policies, pricing systems, distribution of the income. So these are all the areas of the concerns with economists deals with. And when we talk about managers in a company, they have a concern with what? So they are going to have a concern with profit maximization from the viewpoint of an individual industry or a firm. Company policies are also they where have to interfere into, or they have to look into, like what should be the pricing, what should be the wage management or wage payment, market share of your product, which it is going to be there out in there, resource employment, which types of resources you should take in, their management, their economic perspectives, the benefits and stuff like that. So when you look in these two domains, when you consider as economist and as a managers, there are many similarities. When we talk about similarities, they face similar problems of using scarce resources in satisfying the human wants. And that is where the concept of managerial economics came into picture, because the manager also needs to learn something about economics, making it a managerial economics. And let us now define what managerial economics does mean. Okay, so managerial economics may be defined as a management application of economic principles in decision making processes. Okay, and to talk with managers are very prone to decision making itself. Okay, they have to be responsible enough for what decision they are going to do, and hence they need to study a lot. They need to have some base work framework ready so that they can hit that decision making very perfectly. Now let us talk about the principles of managerial economics. There are 4 principles managers need to keep in mind. Okay, so what are those principles? So the first principle is incremental principle. Okay, so whenever a manager is going to make a decision, the decision is said to be sound if the revenue reduces more than the cost. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is the revenue has to be higher than the cost, then the decision is sound. This has to be taken care by managers when they take decisions. They need to reduce the cost, than the revenue. So in short, when we talk about summarizing this, the revenue has to be higher than the cost. With that, the cost has to be reduced. So low cost and high revenue is what incremental principle does mean while you're taking decisions. Principle of time perspective. Okay, so now decisions which are taken into account, both for long term and short term effects on the revenue and the cost, giving weightage to relevant time frame or period in each individual decisions. That is where you apply principle for time prospect. Okay, so now when we look into the other 2 properties, okay, so other 2 properties when we look into now is that the opportunity cost principle. What does this opportunity cost principle model or principle states? So decision making which involves careful management of sacrifices required by various alternatives, that comes under this principle. Discounting principle: if decision affects the cost and revenue in future dates, it is necessary to discount this cost and revenue to present values before valid comparison of alternatives possible. So these are four types of decision methodologies which managers should follow: opportunity, discounting, then we saw what was that, the principle of the time perspective, and incremental principle. Now let us go ahead about what managers must have. So the managers must have the knowledge of break-even analysis and demand analysis, and we are going to understand demand analysis in detail for now. Okay, so let us discuss about demand analysis. So let us before understand what is demand. Okay, a demand is a schedule that shows the amount that would be sold at various prices in a given place and a given data. Okay, so that is demand. When we talk what forces are going to determine the demand: the desire of the customer, the income of the customer, the price of the substitutes available in the market, and the market characteristics. These four forces are going to determine your demand of thing. Just like when you create a YouTube video out in here, very simple example, the YouTube video completely depends on the desire of the customer. So the demand of your video will depend on the demand of the customer. So basically, if there is no desire for the customer to learn industrial engineering, then my video will not reach and will not work out, right? If there are other alternatives which are free of cost than me, so for example, if this was a paid one, then they would have gone there and my demand would have reduced, right? So what is the market characteristics states that's only right, whether industrial engineers are there in market or not, they want to learn it or not. So that it depends. And then the income of the customer depends when this video was to be paid, right? And then how much is my cost of the subscription, and that it will depend on the income of the customer. So this is how you can determine the demand of any of your product going in a market. This is what managers need to look at and analyze how their systems are going to be. Managers always must be interested in demand, because demand determines all your factors into your plant: how you're going to produce, how much you're going to produce, what should be your schedule, what should be your inventory. Everything affects based on your demand. So demand planning has to be perfect, because it is depending on the external factors, and their decisions and policies are going to affect us in our facility. Demand planning is very important. Okay, now three subjects which are very important as a background for price decision. Okay, what to decide the prices in this. So the elasticity of the demand, determinants of changes in the demand, and forecasting of the demand are the three very important subjects in order to determine your prices, what price you should keep for your product. And that all things we are going to understand in our next lecture, video 8, going ahead in managerial economics industrial engineering lecture. So that's all for today, guys. I hope you loved this video. Do not forget to like the video, share with friends, and subscribe to our channel Leansimcorp. Visit our website leansimcorp.com for premium content accesses, blogs, engineering, automation, and AI related contents. We really work hard to bring that to you. Thanks for watching the video, and let us meet in another interesting video. Till then, bye bye.